introduced to the whole initiation and how the process would be and how everything would go, I think is one of the biggest thing that took from me actually running away from the gift, you know. So yeah, I ran away from the calling. Okay, I thought I would run away. I ran as fast as I could to the furthest that I got, and I got to 24 years. I've never been more suicidal than I was last year. In
Black child, you going far. 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 Black child.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Badimo, and of course this is the random chat with me, Bobla. Bogiso and Bobla are the same thing. Those that know me too well call me Bobla. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back, my darling. I love you for that. And to all my new subscribers that have subscribed after I posted my last video, I appreciate you for coming and joining us here. This is I don't know, this is family, y'all. This is family. And if you're just viewing this video, I hope that you do enjoy what you see here. And you will, of course, subscribe to join and be part of my family. And, of course, as per the, the title of the video below, it says being young and cold. As I've said in the previous video, you can see glow differently, and of course, as you can see with my Duke here, I think this day I take you guys best like that. Like, this is me taking you all best as you are. Like, because it's your bestie, so it is what it is. But anyways, getting into the serious chat, of course, recently qualified as a traditional healer. I completed my initiation and went back home in September the 19th, 2020, the day I will never forget. Remember those essays to high school? The day I will never forget. It has to be the 19th of September 2020 when I got back home, going back home, going out as Pogiso, coming back as Marona Maschar. Like, that deserves a round of applause, I believe. Yeah, but that whole journey, it was necessary. I'm starting to get a little bit teary because of how this journey was for me. But to be quite honest, it needed to happen. It was time for it to happen. And I guess, yeah, new age, Ngakata today, drip and the Losies have come together. And this is what you get. I'm joking, but yeah, jumping straight into my journey. I tried, I wanted to prepare a series of questions that I would like for me to go through in order to make this video as solid as it could be. But I also thought it wouldn't be genuine as I would have prepared for it, unlike coming to you as I am and giving you what is it that I feel about this journey and how it came to life. Okay, so I come from my paternal side of the family are the ones that are spiritually gifted. The gift comes from their side. So I was fortunate enough to be blessed with one. I knew from a very young age that I was different, in the sense that how vivid my dreams were to start with, in the sense of how I would see things that people don't see. And you know how a calling would make you into people's naked eyes. You would honestly feel like wahafa. That's what the calling does to people who don't understand what being called is like, or have no experience with being called, or anyone who has been called and they have experienced them as they come. So yeah, I would see things that other people wouldn't see, and that's when I knew that yeah, we might be a little bit different. And also because I grew up in between my paternal and maternal grandparents' places. So when I would visit this other side, it would be that kikereke, there's a church in the yard. Um, there's no way. I remember we used to do this thing. That is why that song tears me apart every time it plays. Anyways, so yeah. So when I got to that side of the family, that's where my spirituality was really stimulated. And of course, my maternal side of the family, we grew up in church, the golobets or like baretsana, raparasaparo, and all that. So growing up, so I would tell my grandmother these dreams, and from what I heard, she knew, my paternal grandmother knew because my mother, like they knew I was gifted from when I was very young. So it was not a shock. It didn't come as a shock to them that this kid can actually, see and in some way connected to Batoa Fitileng. So yeah, with that being said, fine, the dreams became more stronger, the signs became more, everything was just becoming clearer and clearer for a person who has not been initiated. The things that I would see swear that I was initiated even before I was. So yeah, and so last year, I think that my journey with my paternal grandparents became more stronger and more solid and solid than it was over the years, because sometimes I would just not go, because also sometimes my grandmother would be shocked to say, you're not initiated, but the things that you come to say to a person who's like fully fleshed and has been into this whole journey of being a prophetess. And by the way, guys, I'm not a sangoma. Let me just get that out of the way. But I realized that regardless of how many times I say it, people would still refer to me as a sangoma, and it's cool, it's fine. But know this, that there's a difference between Ngaka Ethiopia and a sangoma, and that is solely based on the initiation process and what it does. But we do have a midpoint when it comes to a lot of things outside of the initiation, but mostly the two most, like, the two things that would really make us to have a midpoint as Dingaka Ethiopia and sangomas is that at the end of the day, we are taught ditaola. At the end of the day, we are taught imitatiti. So yeah, and yeah, that's basically that. But the process of initiation is two different things, and it's crazy that I think in a group of my people that I would know that are gifted and in a way have a connection to the people that have passed and all, I'm like the only Ngakatopia that's there. The rest of my people, the rest of my friends, the rest of my close people are Sangomas. So I guess that's also another thing that would make people to call me a Sangoma by default. But just to put it out there, I am not a Sangoma, Ngakatopia. One big thing that people would say is just know that I don't like the completion of my initiation ceremony is also different to what sangomas would do when they say intwaso. Yeah, well, so, but I guess I wouldn't say much about things that, in as much as I would know most of the things because of what I've been exposed to. With regards to sangomas, I would like to respect their journey enough to not talk about it, you know. So myself as Ngakatopia, like, I'm only 24, by the way, turning 25 this year. I just, like, COVID is doing a lot of things wrong, but also is doing a lot of things right. I don't know if that makes sense, but honestly, for real, like, I was supposed to paint the town red, and I don't think that I will be able to do that because of Corona. But we're still turning 25, regardless. We're turning 25 this year. It's a big year for me, considering that a lot is going to happen this year. I'm turning 25. It's going to be like a year. It's being a fully flashed traditional healer. Um, Possibly Modimo ga ratile, and if the academic year is actually saved from the People's University, I would definitely graduate this year as well, depending on how this whole academic year is planned on being saved. But so far, so good. We are doing very well in the side of academics. Let me just put it out there. But, anyways, going back to my journey. So, knowing young as I was that I'm different, and becoming older to understand things like a little bit more, talking openly with my grandparents to say, like, there was a point in my life where I had to sit them down that please stop making me like I'm a crazy person, because I know what I see. I know what happens to me. Most of the times you're not even with me at night, so I know what happens. And yeah, so also because of the misinformation, whenever, like, I think most of us would agree to say that whenever you are saying, like, a person, Barry, you're being called, um, that would definitely resort, or you would by default think that you're going to be a sangoma, you know. And because we back then we were not really informed of the processes and how it requires for you as a person to strip yourself naked to actually understand what is happening to yourself, uh then we somehow, how the initiation process has been brought to us, uh we thought that it's not survivable. But we come back to see people that are actually training other people, which they wouldn't have got to that stage if they hadn't went through the process themselves. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, so I had to sit my grandparents down to say, hey man, this is what is happening, and it's starting to affect me because now I'm being a sickly person. I never grew up to be a sickly person. Like, it's rare that I get sick, but the rate that the rate at the rate that I was being sick, Guyana, it was weird. It was really weird. So now, I started being sick. My academics started to suffer. A lot of things didn't make sense. I started to lose a lot of things that were valuable to me. And this is because, at the same time, because, as I said, how initiation was painted in my head and the process that I would have to take, to me it was gruesome. To me it was scary. I was like, no ways. Hey, me do that? Guys, it never, it can't work. Me and that don't have a midpoint. And this is because also I would see things, like, I grew up being exposed to things, similar things of, you know, how Filiko High, there are people that are sangomas and they would have manjo money there, and you'd see, and that whole process for me was really difficult just by looking at it. So the thought of me going through that, hey man, it was something else. So not being properly introduced to the whole initiation and how the process would be and how everything would go, I think is one of the biggest thing that took from me actually running away from the gift, you know. So yeah, I ran away from the corner. Okay, I thought I would run away. I ran as fast as I could to the furthest that I got, and I got to 24 years of age. But that would have possibly been my last year, because yeah, I've never been more suicidal than I was last year in 2020 and being 24. I think also it didn't just start at 24, because like I had like 3 months to just be 24, or like a month to turn 24. So I would say coming from 23 going to 24 has been one of the difficult years of my life, because now then I had to to really confront myself with what really is happening. And it was difficult, mate. It really was difficult. So in so saying, yeah, it was very difficult. I ran away from my calling. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was called and I picked up the call immediately. I did not. It did not happen that way. So I hope that you will be able to watch part two, because this is part one. I just didn't want to make the video any longer than 15 minutes. So thank you so much for watching it to this point. I hope that I see you on the flip side. Do make sure that you watch part two of the video. Thank you so much for subscribing and for being here and for watching to this end. So I'll see you in part two.